welcome to the Woolly Witch of the West videocast. I'm Madeline, also known as the Woolly Witch of the West. I'm also with Fox and Spider Arts and a partner here at my local yarn shop, the Woolery Mammoth. It's been a little while since I filmed, so it will definitely take us a bit to catch up on everything. It's been kind of a crazy few weeks for me here. But the most exciting thing about all of it is that I went to and participated in the Big Sky Fiber Arts Festival in Hamilton, Montana. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. I am filming at home today and not in the shop, so I apologize for any weird lighting issues. I know I'm a bit backlit. I'm filming by the window. I can't really film the other direction that I'm usually filming because I have a large, furry co-host with me. We'll see if she decides to get up and get in the frame with me or not. But I have a new dog who's right here. I'm patting her now. So there's a dog there. And the couch is her territory as much as it is mine. So we're sharing right now. Yes, intro. Hello everybody. This is a video cast that's primarily about fiber arts, particularly spinning, knitting, and now that we're into this spring and summer season, or officially into the summer season, natural dyeing is, I've spent a lot of time doing that lately, so I'm going to talk to you some about that too. So if those are things that you're interested in, you should stay tuned and we will catch up. So I suppose I'm going to start with knitting, and I'll do finished projects, work in progress, and then I'll talk to you about spinning and dyeing, since I've done a bit of that, as well as a little bit of overview about the Fiber Arts Festival. I'll kind of get into that as I talk more about spinning and things, since I have a few things that of course I picked up while I was there, because who can resist? So I do have a couple of finished objects for you, and I have my phone here so I could very quickly look up the authors of my patterns this week, since that's something I kind of have a little bit of an issue remembering. So my first finished objects are the Feel Good socks, and these are socks that I made for my mom, and I made this with the actual Feel Good silver spun yarn. So the yarn is a cotton nylon blend that also has silver spun into it. And look at the tonal color on these. Isn't that beautiful? I was really excited to pick up yarn for them because they do natural dyeing. So this was dyed with logwood, which I think is just fantastic. And this little sock pattern was written to go with them. So it's just a neat little decorative cuff. It's basically a bobby sock. You knit up a regular sock and you do the cuff on afterward to finish it off. And this yarn is also super stretchy, so it was kind of a challenge to knit with, like my smog socks that I did up in February that use the Regia stretch yarn as well. A little bit hard to get gauge, and I tend to be kind of a tight knitter, so that was definitely a challenge with me, not to just pull on the yarn and work with it stretched out. So there's that. And this sock is a free pattern, and it is written by Kate Atherley, and it is, you can find it through Ravelry. Just Feel Good socks. They're really cute, little toe up, short row heel construction, and they're pretty quick. I did mine on size 1s, but I probably should have done size 2s, if I'm honest. If I make them again, that's what I will do. But there they are. Super cute. There are in fact 2. I'm not joking. I am done. I finished them. They're there. I also finished the bigger iron weight socks that I showed you last time. I think were in progress. I was really close to finish with them. I don't have them with me. They are on display in the shop, since those are the socks that we're working on knitting up for the Sock Sundays for June. So that leaves me in a position where I keep getting a little bit ahead of myself. If anybody is new to the video cast and doesn't know, I'm trying to knit at least 1 pair of socks a month. Part of that is because the yarn shop that I'm part of, the Woolery Mammoth, does Sock Sunday classes, where you can come in and learn sock knitting techniques and knit a pair of socks along with us over the course of the month. And we always have beginner patterns available. You don't always have to do the same sock we're doing. These were the socks from May that I was a little late on. Sorry, Mom. These are a Mother's Day gift. And so far I've been slightly behind, hence finishing my Mother's Day socks in June. But the June socks were very quick, and they're already done. So that leaves me in the unusual position of being able to start my July socks before July even starts. So surely that's moving in the right direction. These are so soft. I do have a little bit of this yarn left over. This is about how much I have left. And my mom, like me, we have pixie person feet, so these are really tiny. These are the smallest size knit up. So my mom wears like size 5.5 US shoes. But yeah, look at how stretchy. So much stretch. So that was kind of a challenge to work with. I had a question about this yarn from my friend Gwen a couple shows back, and I forgot to address it last time over whether or not the silver in this yarn makes it conductive. And check it. Can you see me moving? It totally does. So yes, the silver content in this yarn does make it conductive, so you can make yourself a pair of mittens or a pair of gloves with this yarn and still be able to use your smartphone or tablet, so that's super cool. So I think what I'm going to do with the leftovers that I had is I'm going to make myself a pair of gloves, and I definitely don't have enough of this to do like a full set of gloves, but I can do like a couple fingers on each hand and my thumbs with it and get myself a pair of gloves that I can use, which is good because I am known to be slightly addicted to Instagram and taking photos while I'm out running around in the woods, no matter what the weather is like. So there will be wintertime photos outside, and that will be easier on my fingers. My second finished object is one I had done before I went to the Fiber Arts Festival last week, and this was kind of a quick knit. So this, if you can recognize, whoa, isn't it pretty? The colors. So I did a long asymmetrical wrap, basically. It's not deep enough quite to be a shawl, but and I'm holding it backwards for you because the ridges, there we go, there are these neat slip stitch ridges on it that aren't purls, but they're slip stitches. So this is made with hand spun cormo, which is the softest, most luxurious wool I have ever worked with. And I spun and knit this up for my spouse creature, who has green eyes and red hair, and it really, I'm pretty happy. It's a really great color choice for them. And this fun little pattern, I believe, is also free from Ravelry, I think. And it's the Never Shall Meet shawl. I don't really dig the name on something that I was making for my spouse creature, but the pattern is really cute, and it was designed to be able to use a single skein of hand spun and still get something long enough that it had good drape. So that's really what I was looking for. So it's the Never Shall Meet shawl by Clothesline Designs, and that's also available on Ravelry. I am on Ravelry. I'm not very great about remembering to mention all of my handles at the beginning of the video cast, especially when I'm excited to get to talk to you all about everything that's been going on. On Ravelry, I'm WoolyWitchotWest, since of the wouldn't fit, and I will put up project pages about all of this if you want to find links to the patterns or anything. And the hand spun for this colorway is Peacock, which is a discontinued colorway, by Raven Ridge Fiber Arts, who is an indie dyer out of Missoula, Montana, which is about 4 hours south of us here in Montana. And the Cormo was local Montana sourced wool, so I was really excited when I found that at a yarn shop down in Missoula and had to get it and spin it up. And there it is. It's very lovely. It's so soft. If you haven't spun or worked with Cormo yet, please go find yourself some. It's very soft. It's super springy. I am really backlit. If I put this close, will it blow out the colors? Oh, not so bad. There you go. Look at those colors. The bright teal and turquoise is really what caught me. Oh, so fun. So that was a very fast and gratifying project to finish and get done. So I don't have, oh, that's not really true. I don't have a lot of work in progress knits here with me to show to you. I have a few larger projects that I'm working on. I have an entrelac blanket, which is such a mess of ends and millions of balls of yarn. I keep it in a sack at the house and I never work at it in front of anybody who doesn't want to see me just dealing with a mess. I chose kind of an intense pattern, I guess. I maybe probably should have chosen something more simple for my first not entrelac. I'm mixing things up. Intarsia color work knitting project, which is the knitting technique that I'm teaching myself for the year. So I have that. I do have my next accountability project that I need to get done that I've had on the needles for a long time is a giant lace honeymoon shawl for myself with Icelandic wool. I have that has not been completed. And I don't have socks on the needles right now. I'm gonna start another pair. I do have the yarn. I piled everything around for myself and I have to keep turning around to try and find it. There we go. So I started, this is another Zauberball. I love this. I love their sock yarn. It's really amazing. I had started a pair of socks out of this for the Spouse Creature, and I had used a free pattern called the Peace Socks, which has this really beautiful lace pattern front and back on the sock that looks kind of like leaves, olive leaves, I think was the idea. And this yarn is just way too busy for that, so I will probably just do a basic Fish Lips Kiss standard toe-up socks for the Spouse Creature. They're already we're caught up. If I make these socks for them, we're going to have the same number of socks in the year. Usually I'm a more selfish sock knitter than I have been this year. That's probably a good thing. But so, lovely foresty colors, Zauberball. They're amazing. We carry them in the shop and I want to purchase and knit every single color combination available until those are the only socks we have are all hand knit. Operation Sock Drawer, right? Hashtag Operation Sock Drawer. Maybe someday. Have you seen some of the ladies on Instagram who do Operation Sock Drawer? There are a few that I follow on Instagram that are just insane, that knock out a pair of socks in a week. I can't imagine knocking out a pair of socks in a week unless they were all iron weight yarn and knit on great big needles. But some people do it. So that's knitting. Oh, and I do have another project. I started a sweater. Mostly because of there's a new video cast here on YouTube that I started watching, which is Knitting the Stache, which you should go watch. It's very fun. And the host, who's Melissa, I think is her name. Hopefully that's right. If it isn't, I apologize. She has a really great video cast and talks a lot about just spinning and what she's thinking about, intentionality, traveling places, experiences, knitting sweaters, and she's a sweater knitter, I would say. She knits sweaters kind of quickly, and I was feeling like I should knit a sweater. So I've started a sweater, partly because I have Jeff, who is someone I know, found a few giant cones of wool for me at an auction, and it's not like the softest, but I thought a cardigan, I definitely have enough yardage. Even though I'm a larger person, I know I definitely have enough yardage through this. So I'm making a cardigan, and it's a paid pattern. It's the Florentina lace cardigan, and it's a paid pattern, so I don't want you guys to see any of the pattern details, but oh, you can see a reflection of the reflection on my phone. There we go. Isn't that pretty? So it's mostly all over lace and just a few buttons, short sleeves, and the construction is top down. I haven't gotten very far on it. So this is the front. Yes, I think this is front right piece. So you do a provincial cast on so that you have live stitches at the top, and you knit down, and then you'll pick up at the shoulder seam and knit down at the back, and then you'll join and knit in the round. And that's not really giving away too many other details about the sizing or the lovely pattern stitch and how the whole thing works. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't made very many sweaters. I haven't made very many whole garments. I've made one successful cardigan for myself last year, and I've made my very first sweater that I tried to make was a cardigan that I need to reblock. I thought I could substitute 2 strands of worsted weight for bulky weight yarn, and I didn't really gauge. I still have it. I haven't given it to anyone. I don't know if it fits anyone that I know. Surely someone, but I basically need to reblock it and look again at the sizing and maybe give it to like a child, skinny teenage person somewhere. So I'm really excited about that. I think it will be really pretty. I like this color, and it should be kind of light, summery, just fun to wear over things. I don't wear red a lot, but I feel like this particular shade is pretty good for me. So, do you hear that? See? Okay, I can't take it. Do you guys want to see her? So, I have a new dog. I'm hopefully not going to make you all car sick. Look. Okay. Okay. There you are. Oh my gosh. Isn't she the cutest thing? She is so snuggly. And now I have to set you down and hopefully... Pretty good? So she's an Akbash dog, which is a giant breed dog. So she's a big girl. She's about 125 pounds. She's very, very, very affectionate and snuggly. They're normally used as livestock guardian dogs. She definitely failed at that. She likes humans way more than people. And so now she's living here with us. And so far so good. She's getting along with everyone. She doesn't just bark all the time. We have an old dog named Kyrie who's mobility impaired. She has a little doggy wheelchair, and she's about 14 years old, so it's really important that they get along and respect each other's space, and they do, so it's really exciting. And yeah, new dog. Exciting. There you go, my new co-host. She doesn't have much to say, but she's really cute. So there's that. I've started on the second front I'm giving you guys whiplash, changing topics so quickly. Started on the second front. I'm also excited because I get to use my lovely Addy Turbos for this, and I think these are a size 4. I think so. So these are a size 4, and this is like a light fingering weight yarn. So it's definitely going to be light, and it's going to take a while once I get to the lace, I think, to finish it. But I'm up to a challenge, and I'm ready for a new sweater. I don't really want to buy sweaters anymore. Famous last words, right? So I'm going to make sweaters for myself. I'll have control over the fit, and that will be nice for me. I've also been watching a different video cast here on YouTube called The Fat Squirrel Speaks, which is also really awesome. And she's another plus size lady, and she's given some really good sweater sizing tips in her video cast. So if you, like me, are a larger lady and you're intimidated by the idea of knitting clothing for yourself, go listen to The Fat Squirrel Speaks. She's awesome, and she makes really beautiful sweaters. So we've got nothing to worry about. We can do this. Moving right along, what should I talk about first? Should I talk about dyeing, or should I talk about the Fiber Arts Festival? I'll probably just talk about dyeing because I have stuff here. And then I'll talk about spinning and the Fiber Arts Festival, which was really exciting. So I have a sad tale of dyeing, first off, which I'm so sad, guys. I mean, but you have to make mistakes to learn when you're doing this. I am a novice, experimental, natural dyer. I'm not terribly scientific. I need to get better about taking notes about my process and the pH of my water and all of these other things. And I'm working on that. It's something I acknowledge about myself as a person. But there's a lot of it, first of all. I mean, this isn't bad. Isn't this lovely? It is actually a pretty charming shade of gray. Do you see the white in there? So this is a lot. This is a lot of wool. This is like 8 ounces, I think. Maybe more. See how scientific I am? I did not measure this wool before I dyed it. And it is wool and bamboo, so see the white throughout. The bamboo didn't take any color, which is really, it's neat, and that's part of why I wanted to experiment with it, because I had done some spinning of merino bamboo that other people had dyed since my sister-in-law, Jasmine, bought me a braid that I spun up for Yule, and it was really fantastic. So I wanted to work with it some, and I didn't dye this and didn't dye this, and was waiting like you do with things that are nice. And then some other friends who eat avocados religiously had been saving avocado skins and pits for me, and I thought, perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dye with avocado skins and pits together and hopefully end up with some kind of lovely rosy color. And there are tannins in the avocado pits, so it's like onion skin, so you don't need a mordant to dye with it. So I had a giant pot of this beautiful avocado dye that was going well, and I put the wool in, and it was more of a peachy orange, which is something I've gotten in the past when I tried dyeing with avocado skins, when I wanted like the dusty rose, but I ended up with kind of a peachy orange instead. It's not an unpleasant color, but it's not as like beautiful as the dusty rose that you can get from avocados as. And I think it's the pits in with the skins, so I think next time I'm going to separate the pits and skins and do some more experiment with that and try and figure out what I'm doing wrong, because most people when you dye with avocado you get pink. It's just kind of what happens. And I don't know if it's the pH of my water or what's going on here. But this, as you can tell, is not peachy orange, nor is it pink, even though I did dye this with avocado pits and skins. That's what I dyed this with. What happened? What happened? Well, I thought, this is not quite the color that I want it to be, so I'll try saddening it a bit, which Oh, pardon me. For natural dyeing, when you sadden something, technical term, you add iron to it. So I have an iron mordant that I've made just with some rusty nails and some vinegar water in a giant pickle jar. So it's not small, it's like a giant pickle jar. So I have it, and I bring it over into the kitchen, and I'm pouring it into my dye pots, and very slowly and carefully, because you don't want the muck at the top to go in. My dog is gonna fall off the couch. And my dog, who at this point was pretty new in the house and a little bit more anxious and not quite sure what was going on, walked right up into our tiny cottage kitchen behind me and goosed me. She did. She walked right up behind me and she nudged me with her face and her nose, a pretty good nudge because she's a big dog. And I just poured iron into my dye bath. A lot of it. Enough that to get this wool to this point again was a rescue mission of like, oh, now I've done it. Where you have to get it out of the dye pots and let it cool and rinse it and rinse it and rinse it and wash it and rinse it, because iron is actually really damaging to wool. If you get too much of it in, the particles will shear through your fibers and you'll end up with really stiff wool that you don't want to spin anymore. So the good news is that I did rescue it. This is still very soft. It feels like merino and bamboo. It's gonna be lovely to spin. I have a whole bunch of it. And so I'm torn. What do you all think? My options are just embrace this lovely heathered gray I ended up with, spin it all up, see what yardage I get and make something with it. Option 2 would be just consider this pre-mordaughted with iron and overdye it with something else and see what I get. There are a few things I can do to get greens using iron. I could do red onion skin once I have enough of those again, and that will give me green. I could do peppermint with iron, that will get me green. I've been trying to get more blues and pinks this year since I didn't really get a lot of blues and pinks last year. So I could look into what I could maybe do with that will get me a blue or a pink. It will be a while before I have my hands on that much avocado skins and pits again, I think, since I like them. I don't eat them too terribly often. So, live and learn, right? Measure your mordants. Use a spoon. Don't do what I did. At least it's not an ugly color. And I did save the wool. I saved the wool, which is good because this was an investment. So, there's that. That's the gray wool story. What else do I have down here? Crinkling. I have crinkling. Sorry. So, the other thing I have is that I've done some more onionskin dyeing. And this is red onion skins. So, and I already have this split up for spinning because I was testing a new wheel in the shop. There we go. So red onion skin dye with alum as the mordant. And this is just locally processed mystery wool. So here is the first round. Ooh, I'm really blowing out the color. That's better. That's more what it's like. It's like a really mustardy. I like it a lot. It's still very vibrant, but it's a really mustardy dark yellow. This was round 2 with a little bit of iron in the pot because I was trying to get green. Didn't quite work out, but round 3, the exhaust from the pot. Oh, with a little bit of iron mordant. That's still, this is looking on my screen more gray than it is. This is green. So that's alright. But this is definitely green. This is like a nice light green, sagey. But it seems it's darker than the middle yellow. So I got those, and I'm spinning them up kind of just as a gradient, back and forth. I'm not sure if I will chain ply it or double ply it a little bit to get a little bit of barber pulling, but mostly solid colors. I haven't decided yet. So there are those. That was fun. Onionskin dyeing will always be one of my favorites. It's like magic. You don't have to do very much, and it is just so fun. You don't even have to mordant. You just have to save your onion skins, stick them in a pot with some water, boil them, strain them, and then cool them and add wool the next day and do the same thing. And you get really gorgeous, amazing color. So, the Fiber Fest, the Big Sky Fiber Fest, is my first fiber arts festival, and it was last weekend, and we traveled down, and it was nice because we have some friends in Stevensville. Stevensville and Hamilton are pretty small little towns. Missoula is the closest major town for people who know Montana, and they're down in the Five Valleys area. And it was a pretty small fiber arts festival. I honestly had expected that it would be more attended than it was, and gonna work on that. Montana fiber arts people, where are you? Come out. Come out and play. Support your local yarn shop. Go to this fiber arts festival. I know you're out there. Come play with us. It's not at all scary. But it was really lovely. It was at the fairgrounds, and they had a whole building reserved, which was nice because it poured rain kind of off and on all weekend, so if we had been outside it would have been not quite so pleasant for the vendors and people teaching classes. Oh, dude, hold that thought. I forgot part of what I was going to show you. That's really cool, so I'm going to go back and get it, and I'll be back. Alright. Okay, I've made it back, and I brought my stuff with me. So, the Fiber Festival was fantastic. And one of the things that I was really looking forward to that I got to do, thanks to my support from people on Patreon who mostly support me as a fiber artist, not through this podcast, although it would be cool if there ended up being some overlap. I started this podcast kind of as a way to keep up with people who were supporting me on Patreon more, so they could see what my works in progress were and kind of how I was doing, what art I was getting done. So my Patreon account paid for me to take a workshop with a master spinner named Randy Glick, who's really renowned in this area and was a really excellent teacher. So let me get the workshop that I took with him was called Spinning Montana from Alpaca to Yak. So it was spinning all locally sourced fibers to our state, which was really neat, and talking a little bit about different ways to approach the fiber we were spinning and just getting experience spinning different breeds. So I have here a lovely sample skein that I skeined off. The focus on this thing is really pretty good. It looks kind of a mess up close, but so we spun several different breeds of wool. I'm looking through here to kind of see at the beginning. So this browny gray black is Icelandic, which I was able to spin pretty fat singles out. All of this has been chain plied. The white was a breed I hadn't spun before, which is thin, which is kind of coarse. And the texture on it was really interesting to spin. This was a Shetland cross. So we did the longer staples kind of bigger since we had that option. And let's see here. I have the skinny ones. I have to do different things. Trying to decide which is which. So for the skinny guys, one is alpaca. I think this light gray is alpaca. And this guy that's springy is targy, which I don't know exactly what he said that gave me an aha moment, what he said that made something click about the way I was adjusting my tension and ratios. It was interesting in the class because I was the only person there that did not have a double treadle wheel with double drive and different whirl speeds, and different tension. This is how you can tell I'm a novice spinner. I don't have all the vocabulary right on my tongue. So basically, I took this workshop on my Ashford traditional wheel, which is the wheel that I have from the 1970s. And she's a beautiful wheel. She works really, really well. She's a great wheel to learn on. But there's one whirl so there's one ratio and there's basic Scotch tension, which I've expanded a little bit for myself by putting a rubber band on the end of the hook. To give myself a little bit more range with the tension. But I did not know that, and these are all chain plied, so this is up close, but you see back here? I did not know I could spin on that wheel a 3-ply this fine. I thought that I didn't quite have the range to do it, to do this, and then to go and do this, which is also a 3-ply. This chunkier stuff. Just with a little bit of adjustment. I don't know. I wish I could remember exactly the moment where it all just kind of clicked into place when I was taking this workshop, but he talked a lot about making the wheel do the work for you and really paying attention to the wheel and adjusting the wheel, and really something just worked for me. I kind of was in a bit of a rut where it was what I could spin even when I was kind of trying to get finer weights, I just kind of spun sport weight. That's kind of it. That's what I spin, sport weight. But this is not sport weight, and this is not sport weight. So it was just really nice. He's also left-handed, and I know a lot of people spin, especially short forward draft, you tend to use your left hand to pinch and pull. So that I don't know if that had something to do with it, but it was a really fun class. I did also spin yak. This is my yak. It's tiny. I just unwrapped it on my fingers instead of trying to ply it, because look how fine that is. Oh my gosh. Super fine. So high twist. You can see the little bit of wool I took with it, but so this is yak. And I do have from the class a little bit of a few of the fibers left over. I think I spun all the alpaca. I did spin all the alpaca. This is thin. And this is the targy, which was really lovely. I know technically they're supposed to be white, but so this is the yak that I have left over, and some dog hair because I have a big white dog. And I'll just maybe this isn't yak. Yes, Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Just get a few. So the staple is really short. The staple is so... Can you even see that? The staple is so short. So short. And it's so warm. So this, I mean, it feels like you're holding nothing. It's so lightweight. And it feels like you're holding nothing. But you're trying to, like, keep your hand open enough so that you don't felt anything, because your hand's getting sweaty, because it is so insulating and warm that you can hardly hold on to it and draft without feeling like you're gonna felt the stuff. I'm spinning that fast on my Ashford Traditional, which doesn't have whirl ratios that I can change out. I was sweating. I was like having anxiety spinning this up, which is like, it was a class, whatever. It was samples, trying a sample. And so, yeah. The other thing that happened was that the next day he stepped up and taught applying class to cover from another teacher who unfortunately had to back out at the last moment. And the reason why this isn't part of this skein is because it, even though it seems it's mostly alright, in places there isn't enough twist. So while plying it, it started falling apart. So, ooh. Who's out there? You're all right. Meet my new dog, Cujo. Just kidding. No, she's really sweet. There must be a deer out there. So I couldn't quite ply this, so I just pulled it off. But long story short, I have a friend who's really supportive of me in the fiber arts, who's also a spinner and fiber artist, named Nikki, who was not going to be there the next day, and she set it up for us to go through the basics of the plying class, kind of 2-on-1 with Randy teaching her and I, and so we did that. So this chain ply was from his perfect plying class that we got basically the condensed version of. I just plied my singles from the Spinning Montana from Alpaca to Yak class for that, and my joins are looking much better, so I'm excited about that too. Mostly about hand position and like keeping your elbows down. And so, long story short of it, if you have a chance to take a class in person, please do it, go do it. It makes such a difference. And it isn't that there aren't people that I've learned from in person. Cheryl, who I'm partnering with at the shop, helped me learn how to spin, and anyone I've encountered who's a spinner who I've spent time with has influenced my spinning. But in-person classes with master spinners, please go do it for yourself, do it for your spinning. So this is my Montana example skein, and this is the other skein from the plying class. We had wool to spin up, and this is just a double ply, just a typical 2-ply. So I ended up with all these fun little sample things from the classes that I took, and some yak fiber and yak singles. I need to fix crinkling. There were also really great vendors there, and my friend Siri, who does the mother of all woolworks, also went and vended at the Fiber Festival as her first vending experience as an indie dyer out at a big festival, which was super cool, and she did really well, and her stuff is beautiful, so I'm really not at all surprised. So there was that. Are you laying right? Do you see her head? What do you think? She doesn't know about this camera in her face thing. She likes to sleep right on my knitting as soon as I put it down, just like any of the cats. So, other things from the Fiber Festival. So I've been doing color studies along with the Ravelry group from Welford Purls videocast, the Woolen Spinning podcast. And I showed you this skein already. It was my BFL fractal spun with fiber dyed by Crafty Jacks for the combination breed and color study. And look! Ta-da! Pretty cool. It won first place for the novice category at the Big Sky Fiber Arts Festival. So that's cool. I debated on whether or not I was going to enter a skein at all, and I had it with me, so I just did. So now I'm glad I did, and Randy Glick was also the judge, and he left some lovely comments on here. So apparently my singles are nice, my plying is uneven, my plying is kind of uneven, but now I've taken a plying class, so hopefully it will be getting better. As far as other spinning things go, I finished up my second skein for that color study. So this is that. And it's much more muted. This is the same dye on Goatland, which was so lovely to spin. I can't begin to tell you how much I really enjoyed spinning this. So I did the same thing. It's just more muted, and the greens aren't really picking up very well. The lighting on this is not great. But I have some better pictures. So you'll be able to see it in the photos that I'll post. And the yellow just really kind of, it doesn't really show as yellow. It gives kind of a sheen to the grays. And this is very silky, so really silky, and when I finished it, I soaked it and then I snapped it, and it's got a little bit of a bloom. Like if I hold it back here, you can kind of see the little halo on the fibers. And so like I said, it's the same thing. So it's a 3-ply fractal spun yarn, and I did get the same kind of longer stretches of like a more solid purple, and there's a longer stretch of a more solid green, and there's a longer stretch where it just looks gray. And I actually like this one better than I like the other one. And if it had been dry, so I could take it with me to the Big Sky Fiber Arts Festival, this would have been the skein that I entered. I just am really happy with it. It's a lighter weight yarn than the other. The BFL drafted like butter, but I wasn't able to spin it quite as fine as I wanted to. But this is a lighter weight yarn, so I have more yardage in this. I can't remember exactly how much I did. I think it's like 66 yards. And I just got little 50-gram bumps from Crafty Jacks. So, color study comparison. Different fibers, dyed over white, dyed over gray, same technique, different breeds. This is very springy. Very springy. And I'm really happy. If they had turned out the same weight, I would be tempted to use them in the same project, but they didn't turn out quite the same weight. This one is lighter. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I do have BFL available to me at our shop. It is one of the breed-specific fibers that we carry. So I can spin up some BFL in white, and I can drape it with this and some kind of a chevron-y thing for a hat or some arm warmers. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with this. But it's really nice. It's not... I would say the BFL is softer. This has a little bit of a tooth to it, but it's also still like silky. And it does have a nice sheen to the wool that the BFL does not have. So that was super fun. And Rachel Smith of the Woolen Spinning Podcast, who's everywhere as Welford Purls, is a wonderful person to watch. She takes her spinning really seriously and has great tips and lovely demos, and thought up doing this breed and color study together with her friend who does the dyeing for Crafty Jacks, and they're cool people, so follow them and join the boards. I still need to post on the boards about this one, so I will probably do that today or tomorrow and make a little project page about it so you can read more about it. But that was really fun, and I thought I had just done this before I went, and I took the Spinning Montana from alpaca to yak, so it was neat to do some more breed-specific spinning, even if it was just in a really, really small dose. So other than that, I don't normally do acquisitions, but I did end up with some things for the Piper Festival, so I'm going to just go through those real quick. Some of them have to do with things that I'm working on and things that I'm going to be spinning soon, so I think it's fun to talk about it. So there's this very squishy guy. This is half of what I got. This is from a family farm in Minnesota. They came out here to vend, and this is from Paco, which I just thought was great. I love it when people can source the wool down to the sheep. How cool. How cool is that? So Paco is a CVM Corriedale cross, and this is just some like pencil roving, a little bit of vegetable matter, but generally really nice, fluffy. I bought 4 ounces of this. One of them is, the other half is hanging outside drying right now actually, because I also collected some lichen that fall from a windstorm down in the woods while I was down there, and I lichen dyed half of it, and I'm gonna see, maybe I'll leave this undyed and ply it with the lichen dyed stuff and end up with a kind of really fun bouncy yarn, hopefully. I did take video of the dye process of steps throughout with my lichen dyeing, and I'll probably post that, so you guys can tell me what you think about that. And if you like it, I may do more dyeing videos, which might be fun. Crinkling. Lots of crinkling today. I'm sorry. This is exciting. There were Goatland sheep farmers, or ranchers, I suppose, down there. So I have a whole bag full of Goatland locks, which are just really lovely, and I wanted to buy them all. So I'm gonna box spin those. They had some that were really beautifully dyed, but I couldn't resist the natural grays and creams and blacks in there. That was what I mean. And this is like a bakery bag. That's what I think this of. Is like, oh, I'll buy some pastry. Goatland locks. Very clever. And I ended up with, what is this guy? This is a Romney Targhee cross. I'm not going to take it out of the bag. Ooh. But a beautiful gray, natural gray. And I got this from GoldieKnots Montana, who's someone that I found through Instagram. So she's a Montana fiber artist who has a farm and does a lot of locally sourced wools throughout Montana. So that was very cool, and I was really excited to get to meet her and support her and buy some wool from her, because I think that what she does is really neat. She's also doing a 52 weeks of sheep breed study now, where she's spinning different breeds. I don't know if she's doing that as a fiber club or not necessarily, but it's really interesting to watch on her Instagram feed. So that's neat. She's also a beautiful spinner, so that's nice. And this next stuff that I bought, I've already pulled out of the braids, so, oh geez, and I tore their stuff up. Judy's Novelty Wool, Fun Fibers for Hand Spinners. That's what this is, and she's an indie dyer out of Utah, it sounds like, And my goal with what I was looking for at this event was that I was going to let myself mostly buy wool instead of yarn, even though there are amazing indie dyers, which is what I did. And I had a goal to not buy merino and not buy superwash wool. I don't know what it is about superwash wool, but it sticks funny, it drafts funny. I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite. It's not really my inclination in general. So I tried to buy breed specific. I ended up with a couple of crosses, and these two braids from this indie dyer are Corriedale. So that's fun. And I'm gonna crinkle again. You know. So I've already stripped these down, which is a little bit too bad for you because the braids were really... Ooh, that's part of what I'm actually spinning. I'll grab that one. The braids were really, really beautiful. So what I got from her was, this is a colorway called Freya. And my light isn't the greatest right now. I know I'm so backlit. That's a little better. Which is like great deep teals and pinks and purples. And of course, you know, goddess of Norse mythology, how could I resist? And this I thought was really neat. She also had, this is just an exhaust pot. So she exhausts all her dye pots and ends up with kind of one-off braids. And the reason why I have them all stripped down and prepared is that I'm combo spinning them. Which is another thing I've seen a few people around YouTube and Instagram doing. I think there's a combo spin along. I'm probably late to the game. I don't know if I'm actually going to join in officially on that. But basically you prepare your fiber and then you hold it together and draft it together at the same time and try and pull a little bit from each braid at the same time to blend the fibers together as you spin instead of carding them together. And I would like open this up more while doing that. And you end up with kind of a marled, blended looking yarn, and I thought that would be really pretty, and that this would pick up on the pinks in the Freya. I could have gotten a green eyes. It was a debate which other braid I was going to pair with this one. I knew I was going to get this one. So I ended up with 8 ounces total of this Corriedale to spin and do something with. So that will be fun. And I think that's the last thing I had to show you, since I already showed you the Gotland box. This is what her little label looks like. Torn in half, because I'm a barbarian. Those are little sheep. But I kept the tags so I could make sure that I told you where everything came from. So I think that's about it for me. I did buy some yarn towards the end of it that was kettle dyed yarn in a rainbow mini pack. I will talk more to you about that next time, since I'm going to cast on a project with it. Probably I'm doing a shawl. It's Pride Month. I'm knitting a rainbow shawl. It's happening. So that will happen, and I will tell you more about that next time. I don't really have an awful lot more to add on top of that. I will have a lichen dyeing video up for you guys here in a little bit, which I hope you will like. And I've got a new dog. I may have a new job the next time I talk to you guys, because I had an interview recently for a position I really hope I get, so that would be neat. And other than that, it is the solstice today, so look at the lovely sun shining behind me. So happy summer, everybody. Enjoy the longest day of the year. I hope you are spending it with people that you love, and being outside and enjoying the gifts that you've been given, and having it just a wonderful, wonderful outdoorsy sun-filled day. And So, of course, again, I'm Madeline, WoolyWitchotWest on Instagram, WoolyWitchotWest on Ravelry, and you can find me on Facebook either with Fox and Spider Arts or with the Woolery Mammoth Yarn Shop. You could find me either place. I also am, on Ravelry. Feel free to friend me, check out my project pages. I have not started a Ravelry group because I don't feel like I have quite the viewership to warrant having message boards or anything like that yet. But if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, poetry, post it in the comments below. I will get back to you. And there will be links to any patterns or people or creators, indie dyers that I talked about in this episode in the show notes below. I also am working on foxandspiderarts.com. Soon there will be a blog section on there for me, and I will start posting show notes there and linking to these videos that way as well. So there will be a place to find me on the web as a home. And other than that, I hope you all are enjoying some good yarn or great fibers and having a wonderful week. I will see you in a couple weeks now. We're just going to count last week as a miss since I was a little bit late since I was out at the Fiberfest. So I will see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe below if you'd like to see more videos from me. Bye. What do you think? Do you have anything you want to tell? Like and subscribe below so the dog can take a nap. Life is hard sometimes. Good thing you've got knitting to sleep on.